Okay, well, we're back. I've made some little changes here. Put some colors and materials in there just for fun. And in this case, what I did, I lengthened out the bar across the top uh, so that we can see a little more dramatically when I hit play that it actually comes completely clear. You can see the density is so high on that left-hand cylinder that when it falls down and lands on the base of that thing, boom, it knocks it up, and then it falls completely off. So what we're going to learn to do now is to control the movements of the objects within the scene. Okay, when we do this, what we're going to do is we're going to set up a hinge joint that prevents the object from falling. It's going to stay in position. It's only going to pivot. That's all we want it to do. Now, all of these things we're going to learn about are called joints. And that means in this case that there's a hinge joint. You might also have a slider joint, a servo joint, a piston joint, a motor joint, a whole lot of other things in here that come under that terminology. The one we're starting with is hinge. It just allows something to rotate. Okay, well, I'll click over here and let's just draw it along that edge of the triangle there. Boom. That is going to define the axis of rotation for our wooden object there. So point to point, boom. Now we've got a nice little purple doodad there that tells us that this allows free rotation. When I hit play, nothing different will happen. And the reason nothing different happens is that the hinge joint that we created has not yet been linked to the object that we want to control the rotation of. Okay, so let's go back here, park that out of the way, and we have to use the joint connector tool to join the connector to the object. We click on that, and now you click on the hinge joint, boom, and you have to hold down the left control button on your keyboard. You can't use the right control button for this. You have to use the left control button. So a little plus sign emerges. You click on that, boom, and now when we hit play, we get the same result. We see who's heavier, and yet the bridge doesn't fall down. It's being held in place, I guess, by the weight of the other object plus its momentum. Let's see if I can, maybe if we get that off there, we can, it'll still pivot if I drop something heavy on the other end. Put that back up there and try to pull it back down. Probably I could. It'll continue to pivot if I want it to, but oh, there we go. So it does come up. Okay, so what we did here, to review, we put in a hinge object, we defined the axis of rotation, okay, and then we joined that hinge object to the balance beam. So what happens now is it doesn't even need to do the collision detection. Even without the object underneath it, the hinge will continue to do its job and keep the thing from rotating any more than it would have with that balance shape underneath it. Let's undo that. I kind of might need the ramp back later for some reason. And notice, by the way, let's tinker with this a little bit more. This thing, I will get rid of the ramp. Let's take this thing, I'm going to rotate that. I'm going to rotate that tool, something like that, and hit play. So you see the objects rotate around these artificial axes that are created by the joints. In this case, a hinge joint, which allows free rotation. But it doesn't really necessarily have to have anything to do with reality. And I'll back up a couple of steps. There we go, hitting Control Z. What I thought I'd do now is have a trigger that causes the dominoes to fall. Right now it doesn't do anything. Sure, you could have a ball roll down the ramp or something like that, but I want this thing to swing around and knock over the first domino, and then the other dominoes will go too. So here we go. We're going to use a motor joint. I click here, And the direction the thing will rotate in around the motor is determined by the first and last point you click. So in this case, I'm going to want it to go clockwise. I want it to go this way. So that means I click at the top and the click at the bottom. You can always try that again. Motor, top, bottom. So this is going to define that it rotates around those axes. You can also change it later. Joint connector, click, left control button, click on object, hit play, boom. And now it's going to rotate around and around there. The motor has an acceleration factor, so if you put something super heavy in front of it, it will get blocked. Let's see if that does it. Probably push those out of the way. Oh, it doesn't even reach them. Okay. So for this next assignment, let's go ahead and create some shapes here. You can use this particular task if you want. Let's have a hinge and have a motor and have something tilt and something rotate.